Welcome to Starbound, where every star tells a story. We humans have a deadly reputation in the Galactic Colosseum. That's why the aliens made a saying, never fight a human in a fair fight. Check and see if you're subscribed today, because if you're not, do it. It's totally free. But now, let's get into the story.
The Galactic Colosseum, a colossal monument to the galaxy's obsession with combat, was a beacon in the vastness of space. Its massive structure, forged from an alien alloy that shimmered with an ethereal glow, was visible from light years away. The Colosseum's interior was a marvel of advanced engineering, a labyrinth of tunnels, training rooms, and medical bays leading to the heart of the complex, the arena. The arena itself was a marvel, a vast expanse capable of transforming into countless environments, from dense jungles to arid deserts, from icy tundras to volcanic landscapes. Each match was a spectacle, a test of strength, agility, and cunning against the backdrop of ever-changing, unpredictable terrain. The Colosseum's audience was as diverse as the galaxy itself. Beings from countless worlds, each with their unique physiologies, cultures, and technologies, filled the endless tiers of seats. Their roars of excitement, gasps of awe, and groans of disappointment created a symphony of sound that echoed through the arena, amplifying the drama of each contest. For millennia, the Colosseum had been dominated by a rotating cast of champions, each representing the pinnacle of their species' combat prowess. But in recent cycles, a new power had risen to prominence, a power that had shaken the very foundations of the Colosseum's hierarchy. The humans had arrived. At first, they were underestimated, dismissed as a primitive species from a backwater planet. But the humans quickly proved their doubters wrong. Their first champion, a former soldier named Leonidas, had shocked the galaxy by defeating a Gorn champion twice his size in a brutal display of strength and ferocity. Leonidas's victory was just the beginning. Over the following cycles, a succession of human champions emerged, each with their unique fighting style and unyielding spirit. There was Anya, the agile acrobat who danced around her opponents, striking with deadly precision. There was Kai, the stoic monk whose mastery of martial arts was unmatched. And there was Marcus, the gladiator whose raw power and tactical brilliance had made him a legend. The humans' rise to dominance was not without controversy. Their aggressive fighting style, their unyielding spirit, and their refusal to back down from any challenge had earned them both admiration and resentment. Some saw them as a breath of fresh air, a reminder of the primal thrill of combat. Others saw them as a threat, a disruptive force that was upsetting the delicate balance of the Colosseum. But regardless of the opinions they inspired, one thing was undeniable. The humans were here to stay. They had claimed their place among the galaxy's elite warriors, and they were not about to relinquish it. The Krell's defeat was the latest in a string of victories for the humans. They had bested champions from every corner of the galaxy, showcasing a versatility and adaptability that defied conventional wisdom. In the Colosseum's gambling dens, the odds heavily favored the humans in every match, much to the chagrin of those who had bet against them. The clang of steel on scale resonated through the Colosseum as Marcus parried Korgak's venomous strike, the toxic fluid sizzling on the arena floor. The Krell was a whirlwind of claws and fangs, each attack a calculated attempt to exploit the perceived weaknesses of the human form. But Marcus was not like other humans. Years of grueling training under the tutelage of the Colosseum's finest martial artists had honed his reflexes to a razor's edge. He moved with a fluidity that belied his imposing physique, deflecting each strike with minimal effort. His eyes, trained to analyze and predict, followed Korgak's every move, anticipating his next attack before it even began. Korgak, frustrated by his inability to land a decisive blow, resorted to his signature move, the venomous tail whip. With a flick of his powerful tail, he unleashed a spray of venom aimed at Marcus's face. But Marcus was ready. He had studied the Krell's fighting style, noting their reliance on this particular attack. With a swift duck and roll, Marcus evaded the venomous spray, the toxic mist dissipating harmlessly behind him. He then seized the opportunity, using Korgak's momentum against him. In a display of brute strength, he grabbed the Krell's tail mid-whip and yanked, sending the creature sprawling across the arena floor. Before Korgak could recover, Marcus was upon him, his gladius flashing in the artificial light. The crowd roared as the human champion pressed his advantage, raining down blows on the disoriented Krell. Each strike was precise, aimed at disabling rather than killing. Korgak, desperate to escape the onslaught, attempted a desperate counterattack, but Marcus had already anticipated the move. He parried the Krell's claws with his gladius, then delivered a swift kick to the creature's underbelly, sending it reeling back. Now on the defensive, Korgak retreated, hissing and spitting venom. Marcus, however, was relentless. He pursued the Krell, his every move calculated to keep the pressure on. The crowd was on its feet, their excitement reaching a fever pitch as the two warriors clashed. The end came swiftly. With a final, decisive strike, Marcus disarmed Korgak, sending the Krell's weapons skittering across the arena floor. The Krell, defeated and disarmed, had no choice but to yield. In the opulent chambers of the Colosseum Council, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The Krell delegation, led by their ambassador, hissed and snarled, their scales shimmering with indignation. They demanded not only a rematch, but also reparations for the perceived injustice suffered by their champion. The human delegation, led by Marcus and his mentor, the grizzled veteran known as Silas, remained stoic in the face of the Krell's accusations. They had expected such a reaction. The humans' dominance had upset the delicate balance of power within the Colosseum, and some factions were eager to see them fall. The Krell champion was defeated fair and square, Silas stated calmly, his voice echoing through the chamber. Marcus Aurelius fought with honor and skill, as is expected of all Colosseum champions. The Krell ambassador scoffed, his forked tongue flicking in and out of his mouth. Honor? Skill? The human resorted to barbaric tactics, exploiting our champion's weaknesses with brute force and aggression. Silas raised an eyebrow, a wry smile playing on his lips. Barbaric? Aggression? These are the very qualities that have made the humans the undisputed champions of the Colosseum. We do not shy away from conflict, nor do we apologize for our strength. The ambassador hissed, his eyes narrowing. Strength alone does not guarantee victory. Cunning and strategy are equally important, as are adherence to the Colosseum's rules and regulations. Rules and regulations? Silas chuckled. The Colosseum is a place of combat, not a diplomatic summit. The only rule that matters is survival, and the humans have proven time and again that they are the most adept at surviving. The debate raged on for hours, with both sides refusing to back down. The Krell delegation, fueled by their wounded pride, demanded not only a rematch but also a handicap for Marcus, arguing that the human's natural strength gave him an unfair advantage. The human delegation, however, stood firm. They refused to accept any handicaps, insisting that Marcus would face Korgak on equal footing. They knew that the Krell were trying to undermine their dominance, to tarnish their reputation. But the humans were not easily intimidated. In the end, the council reached a compromise. The rematch would take place, but with a twist. The arena would be modified to favor the Krell's strengths, with increased humidity and a dense network of tunnels and crevices. The humans, they reasoned, would be forced to adapt to an unfamiliar environment, leveling the playing field. The news of the rematch and the council's decision spread through the Colosseum like wildfire, sparking a flurry of betting and speculation. The Krell delegation, sensing an opportunity to reclaim their lost prestige, placed a hefty wager on their champion, confident that the modified arena would tip the scales in their favor. Back in the human quarters, Marcus and Silas analyzed the council's decision, their faces etched with determination. They knew that the rematch was not just about defending their title, but also about proving the humans' worth in the face of adversity. They think they can outsmart us, Marcus said, his voice a low growl. They think they can create an environment that will nullify our strengths, but they underestimate the human spirit. Silas nodded in agreement, his eyes gleaming with a fierce light. They have given us a challenge, Marcus, but challenges are what we thrive on. We will adapt, we will overcome, and we will emerge victorious. The days leading up to the rematch were a whirlwind of preparation. Marcus spent hours studying holographic simulations of the modified arena, analyzing every detail of the terrain. He sparred against his fellow human fighters, testing new tactics and strategies that would exploit the unique features of the environment. Silas, meanwhile, worked tirelessly to gather intelligence on the Krell's preparations. He met with informants, analyzed betting patterns, and even infiltrated the Krell delegation's quarters, disguised as a lowly maintenance worker. He learned that the Krell had been training Korgak extensively in subterranean combat, honing his instincts for navigating tight spaces and ambushes. As the day of the rematch approached, the tension in the Colosseum reached a fever pitch. The crowd was divided, some cheering for the underdog Krell, others rooting for the dominant humans. The gambling dens were overflowing with patrons eager to place their bets, the odds fluctuating wildly as new information emerged. In the quiet of his quarters, Marcus prepared for battle. He donned his armor, each piece meticulously crafted to offer maximum protection while allowing for unrestricted movement. He strapped on his weapons, a gladius for close combat and a pair of throwing knives for ranged attacks. He then took a deep breath, closing his eyes and centering himself. He envisioned the arena, the dense foliage, the hidden tunnels. He imagined Korgak lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. But he also saw himself, adapting to the environment, using his agility and cunning to outmaneuver his opponent. When he opened his eyes, his gaze was steely, his resolve unwavering. He was ready. The gong's resounding echo signaled the start of the rematch, and a hush fell over the Colosseum as the arena transformed. The once barren floor sprouted dense vegetation, the walls morphing into towering cliffs riddled with hidden crevices. A fine mist filled the air, making the environment humid and slick, perfect for the Krell. Marcus emerged from his corner, his eyes scanning the unfamiliar terrain. He had trained extensively for this, but the reality of the modified arena was still a shock. The Krell had the home field advantage, and they intended to use it. Korgak, emerging from the shadows of the newly formed cliffs, looked reinvigorated. His scales glistened with moisture, and his movements were fluid and confident. The arena was his domain now, and he moved through it with the ease of a predator stalking its prey. The initial clash was a blur of motion. Marcus, relying on his agility and reflexes, dodged Korgak's initial strikes, using the dense foliage for cover. The Krell, however, was not easily deterred. He used his claws to scale the cliffs, gaining a higher vantage point to unleash a barrage of venomous projectiles. Marcus weaved and ducked, narrowly avoiding the deadly toxins. He knew he couldn't maintain this defensive stance for long. He needed to take the initiative, to turn the environment against his opponent. Spotting a narrow tunnel leading into the cliff face, Marcus feigned a retreat, luring Korgak into pursuit. The Krell, eager to finish the fight, charged into the tunnel, his claws scrabbling against the damp rock. Marcus waited, his breath held, listening to the echoes of Korgak's movements. When the sound of the Krell's footsteps was directly above him, he sprang into action. With a powerful leap, he drove his gladius upwards, piercing the tunnel's ceiling. A scream of pain echoed through the arena as Korgak fell, his momentum carrying him into Marcus's waiting arms. The human champion slammed the Krell to the ground, disarming him with a swift twist of his wrist. Korgak, wounded and disoriented, struggled to regain his footing. But Marcus was relentless. He pressed his attack, driving the Krell deeper into the dense undergrowth. The battle raged on, a chaotic dance of steel and scale amidst the humid jungle. Korgak, though injured, fought with the ferocity of a cornered beast. He used the terrain to his advantage, disappearing into the foliage and launching surprise attacks from the shadows. Marcus, however, was more than a match for the Krell's guerrilla tactics. He had anticipated this strategy, and he had a plan. Drawing upon his training in the Colosseum's diverse environments, Marcus adapted his fighting style to suit the treacherous terrain. He used the dense foliage to his advantage, moving silently through the undergrowth and striking from unexpected angles. He lured Korgak into traps, using the slippery rocks and hidden crevices to disorient and injure his opponent. The Krell, accustomed to the open plains of his homeworld, was clearly struggling to adapt. His movements were sluggish in the humid air, and his scales, once a source of protection, now made him a target for Marcus's throwing knives. With each passing moment, the tide of the battle shifted further in Marcus's favor. The crowd, sensing the change in momentum, roared with excitement. The Krell delegation, their initial confidence now replaced with anxiety, watched in dismay as their champion faltered. Marcus, sensing victory within reach, pressed his advantage. He launched a series of lightning-fast attacks, each one aimed at weakening Korgak's defenses. The Krell, battered and bruised, was forced to retreat, seeking refuge in the dense undergrowth. But Marcus was relentless. He followed Korgak into the heart of the jungle, his gladius flashing like a beacon in the dim light. The final confrontation took place in a clearing, a small patch of open ground surrounded by towering trees. Korgak, his back to the wall, unleashed a desperate flurry of attacks, but Marcus was ready. He parried each blow, his movements as precise as a surgeon's scalpel. Then, With a final, decisive strike, he disarmed the Krell, sending his weapon flying into the dense foliage. The Krell, defeated and disarmed, had no choice but to yield. He sank to his knees, his head bowed in submission. Marcus stood over him, his gladius poised for the final blow. But he hesitated. In the Krell's eyes, he saw not just the desperation of a defeated foe, but a flicker of something else. Respect. A grudging acknowledgement of the human's skill and resilience. Marcus lowered his weapon, a gesture of mercy that echoed through the silent arena. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of the Colosseum. Marcus, however, did not simply walk away. Instead, he extended a hand towards the fallen Krell, a gesture of respect and camaraderie that shocked the audience into silence. Korgak, taken aback, looked up at the human champion with a mixture of confusion and suspicion. Marcus smiled, a genuine expression of goodwill that disarmed the Krell's defenses. "You fought well, Korgak," he said, his voice carrying across the silent arena. "You are a worthy opponent, and I am honored to have faced you in combat." The Krell, still wary, hesitated before accepting Marcus's hand. The human champion helped him to his feet, a gesture that elicited gasps of astonishment from the crowd. Never before had a human shown such respect to a defeated opponent, especially one from a rival species. Marcus then did something even more unexpected. He turned to the crowd, raising Korgak's arm in a gesture of victory. "Korgak fought valiantly," he declared, his voice booming through the Colosseum. "He pushed me to my limits, and I am grateful for the challenge." The crowd, initially stunned, erupted in a frenzy of cheers and applause. They had come to witness a battle, but they had witnessed something far more profound, a display of sportsmanship and respect that transcended species and cultural barriers. The Krell delegation, their faces a mask of disbelief, watched as their champion was celebrated alongside the human victor. They had expected humiliation, but they had received grace. Marcus, however, was not done. He turned to Korgak, a playful glint in his eyes. "Tell me, Korgak," he said, "have you ever sparred in zero gravity?" Korgak, still reeling from the unexpected turn of events, shook his head. Marcus grinned, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Then I propose a challenge, a friendly spar in the zero-gravity training chamber. What do you say?" The Krell, intrigued by the offer, nodded hesitantly. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder, a gesture of camaraderie that solidified a newfound bond between the two warriors. The crowd roared its approval, eager to witness this unexpected display of friendship and competition. As the two champions made their way towards the zero-gravity chamber, the Colosseum buzzed with excitement. The rematch had not only showcased the humans' dominance, but had also opened a new chapter in the history of the Galactic Colosseum. A chapter where respect, camaraderie, and the thrill of competition could transcend the boundaries of species and culture. A hush fell over the Colosseum as Marcus and Korgak, arm in arm, turned to leave the arena. The crowd held their breath, savoring the unexpected moment of camaraderie between two former adversaries. The Krell delegation watched with a mix of awe and resentment, their pride wounded but their spirits strangely lifted by the unexpected respect shown to their champion. As the two warriors reached the edge of the arena, a figure emerged from the shadows of the Krell delegation's box. It was Zark, Korgak's younger brother, his eyes burning with a venomous rage. He lunged forward, a concealed blade gleaming in his hand, aiming for Marcus's exposed back. The crowd gasped, their collective hearts skipping a beat as the assassin's blade arced through the air. Korgak, sensing the imminent danger, roared a warning, his voice booming through the Colosseum. Marcus, his reflexes honed by countless battles, reacted instantaneously. He spun on his heel, his gladius flashing as he parried Zark's attack. The two blades clashed, sparks flying as the two warriors locked eyes. Zark snarled, his face contorted with hatred. "This is for my brother's honor," he hissed, his voice dripping with venom. "You will pay for humiliating him." Marcus, his eyes narrowed, met Zark's gaze with a cold fury of his own. "Your brother fought with honor," he retorted. "He yielded, and I respected his decision. You, on the other hand, are nothing but a coward, attacking from the shadows." Zark lunged again, his attacks wild and unfocused, fueled by blind rage. Marcus, however, remained calm, his movements precise and efficient. He parried each blow, his gladius a whirlwind of steel that deflected Zark's every attempt to land a hit. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the two figures clashed, their movements a blur of motion. Korgak, torn between his loyalty to his brother and his newfound respect for Marcus, watched helplessly from the sidelines. Marcus, sensing an opening, disarmed Zark with a swift maneuver, sending the assassin's blade clattering across the arena floor. He then pressed his attack, driving Zark back towards the edge of the arena. With a final, decisive strike, Marcus knocked Zark to the ground, his gladius poised at the assassin's throat. The crowd held their breath, expecting a swift execution. But Marcus hesitated. The arena held its breath, the only sound the ragged breathing of the fallen Krell. All eyes were on Marcus, the gladius a hair's breadth from Zark's throat. A tense silence hung in the air, broken only by the soft rustling of the newly grown foliage. Marcus looked down at the defeated Krell, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. Anger for the cowardly attack, disgust for the dishonor it brought upon the Colosseum, but also a flicker of understanding. He saw in Zark's eyes the same wounded pride, the same desperate need for validation that had driven so many of his opponents to extremes. He lowered his weapon, a sigh escaping his lips. "You have dishonored yourself and your species," he said, his voice ringing with authority. "But I will not stoop to your level. You are not worthy of my blade." He stepped back, allowing Korgak to rush forward and restrain his brother. The Krell delegation, their faces a mixture of shame and relief, quickly escorted Zark out of the arena, their heads bowed in apology. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices a deafening roar of approval. They had witnessed not only a display of martial skill, but also a demonstration of the values that truly defined a champion: honor, mercy, and the refusal to be drawn into the depths of despair. Marcus turned to Korgak, extending his hand once more. "Our spar still stands," he said, a warm smile gracing his lips. "But perhaps another time, when the dust has settled." Korgak, his eyes filled with gratitude and newfound respect, grasped Marcus's hand firmly. "It would be my honor," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. Together the two champions left the arena, their unlikely friendship a beacon of hope in a galaxy often marred by conflict and prejudice. The Galactic Colosseum had witnessed many battles, but none as profound as the one that had just unfolded. It was a battle not just of strength and skill, but of values and ideals. And in this battle, it was humanity that had emerged victorious. As the crowd's cheers subsided, Marcus and Korgak made their way through the labyrinthine corridors of the Colosseum, their footsteps echoing in the dimly lit passages. They were escorted by a contingent of Colosseum guards, their presence a stark reminder of the recent assassination attempt. The tension in the air was palpable. Korgak, still shaken by his brother's actions, walked in silence, his eyes fixed on the ground. Marcus, sensing his companion's unease, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Your brother acted out of misplaced loyalty," Marcus said, his voice calm and steady. "He does not understand the true meaning of honor. But you do, Korgak. You fought bravely, and you yielded with dignity. That is all that matters." Korgak nodded, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. "I am ashamed of my brother's actions," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "He has brought dishonor upon our family." "Do not blame yourself, Korgak," Marcus replied. "Your brother's actions are his own. You have nothing to be ashamed of." They continued in silence for a while, their footsteps the only sound in the empty corridor. As they approached the zero-gravity training chamber, Marcus broke the silence. "Are you still up for our spar?" he asked, a playful grin spreading across his face. "I promise not to be too rough." Korgak chuckled, the tension easing from his shoulders. "I would be honored," he replied, "but perhaps we should wait until after the medical droids have patched me up." Marcus laughed, his voice echoing through the corridor. "A wise decision, my friend. A wise decision." The two warriors entered the training chamber, their earlier encounter forgotten. They were now united by a shared passion for combat, a mutual respect for each other's skills, and a newfound bond of friendship forged in the crucible of the arena. As the chamber's doors sealed shut behind them, the Colosseum guards exchanged knowing glances. They had witnessed many extraordinary events in their time, but none as unexpected as the friendship between the human champion and the Krell warrior. It was a testament to the power of the Colosseum, a place where even the fiercest rivals could find common ground in the heat of battle. Within the zero-gravity training chamber, a vast spherical space illuminated by soft blue light, Marcus and Korgak floated, their bodies adjusting to the weightlessness. The chamber was equipped with various training apparatus, including holographic targets, obstacle courses, and weapon racks filled with a variety of non-lethal training weapons. Marcus, a veteran of zero-gravity combat, quickly acclimated to the environment. He propelled himself towards a weapon rack, selecting a pair of energy batons that emitted a soft hum. Korgak, less familiar with the sensation of weightlessness, clumsily maneuvered towards another rack, choosing a pair of bladed gauntlets. The two warriors faced each other, a silent understanding passing between them. This was not a battle to the death, but a friendly spar, a chance to test their skills against a different opponent in an unfamiliar environment. Marcus initiated the first move, launching himself towards Korgak with a powerful kick. Korgak, anticipating the attack, spun out of the way, his gauntlets flashing as he countered with a series of slashes. The two figures danced through the zero-gravity chamber, their movements a graceful ballet of combat. Marcus, relying on his speed and agility, weaved around Korgak's attacks, his batons a blur of energy as he landed a series of blows to the Krell's torso. Korgak, though slower, was no less formidable. He used his superior strength to absorb Marcus's blows, biding his time for a counterattack. When the opportunity arose, he unleashed a powerful kick of his own, sending Marcus tumbling through the air. The human champion, however, recovered quickly, using his momentum to launch a surprise attack. He somersaulted towards Korgak, his batons striking with pinpoint accuracy. The Krell, caught off guard, was forced to retreat, his gauntlets raised in defense. The spar continued for several minutes, a display of skill and athleticism that enthralled the small audience watching from the observation deck above. Both warriors pushed each other to their limits, testing new techniques and adapting to each other's strengths and weaknesses. The battle ended in a stalemate, both warriors exhausted, but exhilarated. They floated towards each other, their weapons deactivated, smiles replacing the fierce expressions of combat. "You are a worthy opponent, Marcus Aurelius," Korgak said, his voice filled with respect. "I have never faced a human who could match me in zero gravity." Marcus chuckled. "You are not so bad yourself, Korgak. Your strength and resilience are impressive." The two warriors shook hands, their grip firm and sincere. They had come to the Colosseum as rivals, but they were leaving as friends. As the news of the Colosseum incident spread, it sent ripples through the galactic community. The attempted assassination of Marcus Aurelius, broadcast live across countless worlds, sparked outrage and condemnation. The Krell delegation faced intense scrutiny and pressure to punish Zark for his actions. In a rare display of unity, the Colosseum Council issued a joint statement denouncing the attack and reaffirming their commitment to fair play and sportsmanship. They announced a series of new security measures, including stricter background checks for all participants and enhanced surveillance throughout the Colosseum complex. Meanwhile, Marcus and Korgak's unlikely friendship became a symbol of hope and unity in a galaxy often divided by conflict and prejudice. Their story was shared and celebrated across countless worlds, inspiring others to look beyond their differences and embrace the shared values that united them. The Krell, initially shamed by Zark's actions, found themselves in an unexpected position. Korgak, hailed as a hero for his role in saving Marcus's life, became a symbol of their species' honor and integrity. The Krell delegation, eager to repair their tarnished reputation, issued a formal apology to the humans and pledged to cooperate fully with the Colosseum Council's investigation. In the aftermath of the incident, the Galactic Colosseum experienced a surge in popularity. The story of Marcus and Korgak had captivated the galaxy, drawing in new audiences and reigniting interest in the ancient tradition of gladiatorial combat. The Colosseum Council, seizing the opportunity, organized a series of exhibition matches featuring fighters from different species, emphasizing cooperation and mutual respect. These matches, dubbed the Unity Games, were a resounding success, drawing in record crowds and fostering a sense of camaraderie among the various species. Marcus and Korgak, their friendship solidified by their shared experience, continued to train and compete together, their bond a testament to the power of sportsmanship and understanding. They became ambassadors for the Colosseum, traveling to different worlds to promote the values of fair play and cultural exchange. As the cycles turned, the humans continued to dominate the Colosseum, their legacy cemented as one of the greatest fighting forces in galactic history. But their success was not solely due to their physical prowess or tactical brilliance. It was their adaptability, their resilience, and their unwavering spirit that truly set them apart. Marcus Aurelius, once a gladiator from a backwater planet, became a living legend, his name whispered in awe across the galaxy. He remained undefeated, his reign as champion unchallenged. But his greatest legacy was not his victories in the arena, but the friendships he forged and the bridges he built between species. Korgak, once a bitter rival, became a close friend and ally. He returned to his homeworld as a hero, his story a testament to the power of understanding and respect. He worked tirelessly to promote peace and cooperation between the Krell and humans, his efforts paving the way for a new era of diplomacy and trade. The Galactic Colosseum, once a symbol of conflict and competition, evolved into a beacon of unity and cultural exchange. It became a place where warriors from all corners of the galaxy could come together to test their skills, forge new friendships, and learn from each other. The humans, once feared and resented, were now respected and admired. Their journey from underdogs to champions had captured the imagination of the galaxy, inspiring countless others to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. And so the legacy of the human champions lived on, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could triumph. It was a testament to the enduring power of courage, compassion, and the unwavering belief in the potential of humanity.